Sometimes your InDesign content doesn't export to EPUB in a way that you desire. Fortunately, InDesign provides a powerful way to control how an object exports from InDesign without actually altering the appearance of the object in the InDesign layout. Let's take a look. I'm beginning this video with the exportoptions.indd file already open on my computer. And to give you a point of reference, I'm just going to export this to an EPUB. So I'll go to File and choose Export. And we'll go ahead and put this in the Chapter 16 folder. I'm just going to call it Export Options. And we'll go ahead and save. And I'm not going to do anything specific here, but I am going to make sure we export to the version 3 format. And then we'll make sure that the content order is set to the same as the articles panel. So we'll go ahead and click OK. And that's going to export an EPUB for us. Now when that opens, I'm going to go ahead and page through this document. And I'm going to get down to where that content lives. Now you can see here, these are supposed to be the drop cap that was in that text. Well, as you can see, it's not really working the way that we expected it to. Let's keep going. And we get to that group of elements that we had here, and we get all types of interesting things in our EPUB, nothing of which we were looking for. And our images, as you can see here, are just block level elements, and they're appearing above or below the text. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And that's where our object export options come into play. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this group here. It's a group of elements that we're using for the letter N. And what I'm going to do is come up here to the Object menu, and I'm going to choose Object Export Options. And we have 3 different sections up here. We have our alternate text, we have tagged PDF, and we have EPUB and HTML. Now, your alternate text is useful for giving a description about the selected graphic, and this is helpful for people with visual impairments. But we can also click on EPUB and HTML and choose a custom rasterization for this graphic. So instead of it trying to output as 4 different vector elements, I'm going to turn on custom rasterization, and I'm going to rasterize this item. Now, in addition, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the size relative to the page width. I'll keep the resolution at 150, that should be enough, quality high, and I'll set it to the JPEG format. If you wanted to, you can choose a GIF or a PNG if you wish, but for my example, I'll just keep it as a JPEG. Now, in addition, I'm going to choose Custom Layout, and I'm going to tell it to float to the left. Now, this is a web development term, and it's essentially a way of floating an element to the left of objects that fall before another item. So in this case, when we float it to the left, the idea is that the text is going to wrap around it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Done. Now, what about these elements down here? They're grouped together, but we just proved the point that even though they're grouped together, doesn't mean they're going to export as a group. So once again, with this group selected, we're going to go to Object and choose Object Export Options. I'm going to rasterize that group of items. Let's see, we'll leave all these set to their defaults. And let's go ahead and choose Custom Layout. And I'm just going to align it to the left. I'm not going to float it. I just want to align it to the left. And I added about 50 pixels of space above and below that item. So that looks pretty good. Now, in addition, what they've added in the latest version of InDesign is the ability to define your object export options inside of an object style. Well, let's take a look at that. So I'm going to click on this graphic here, and it is anchored to my text. But I'm going to go to my Object Styles panel, and I'm going to choose the Float Right object style. And then I'm going to click on this image, and I'm going to choose the Float Left object style. Now, it didn't really change the appearance of the object in the layout, although it could if we wanted it to. But let's take a look at something a little more important. I'm going to right-click on Float Left and choose Edit Float Left. And you're going to notice now inside of InDesign, we have a new section here called Export Options. And all of those options that we just saw inside of the Object Export Options dialog box are now able to be defined inside of my object style. This is a huge improvement. So I'm going to click on EPUB and HTML, and you can see that we have a custom rasterization defined inside of this object style, as well as a float left property applied. And so now I can apply these object export options along with my object style. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm just going to go ahead and do a save as here, and I'll call this one the object export options finish. And we'll just go ahead and save that in the chapter 16 folder. And now I'm going to export this to an EPUB again. So we'll call this object options finish. Go ahead and save that. And I'm going to leave the settings as they were. Go ahead and click OK. And now, when I page down to that same section, got to go down a couple of pages here, you're going to notice that, wow, look at that. A lot better than what we had. This is now an image inside of the EPUB. Same thing here. This is one big image. So instead of it breaking it apart into its primitive vector elements, it is now appearing as one cohesive image. Go down a little bit further, and we'll see that this image is floated to the left, so the text is wrapping around the right side of it, and this image is floated to the right, and this text is wrapping around the left side of it. So the object export options provide a powerful way to control how an item exports to the EPUB format. But taking it one step further, now in the latest version of InDesign, we can control these options in an object style definition, making it a one-click operation.